And the longer that continues to thrive, the more trouble we're going to have on our hands. But I do feel like collective journalism and collective pressure on new levels from new emergent complexes that occur on the internet, if it can stay afloat, um, is going to be really instrumental. And I would agree that there are positive aspects of that right there, putting pressure, where it needs to be.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because like things like Twitter during the Iran incident, Twitter was, I'm not saying it was the instrumental thing, but it definitely got a decent amount of press for being able to just publish news instantly. It's out there, it's viral, it can't be stopped, and then it just spreads, and people retweet things, and information just gets out grassroots, and it's not uh, so tightly controlled, even as much of like as a blog, where you have to write an article about it. It's just a little bit of information, and it goes out into the world, and it's unstoppable. I mean, that kind of power, that's new, and I feel like the journalism reacted very strongly to blogging and to Twitter. I'm sure there's gonna be even more unfolding in that direction with the sort of bottom up, interconnected forms of communication that are not so easily controllable by old models, and it's what we're heading to in this century. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's just so. This will be the whole area of research and study for future social scientists. This is going to be so complex.
Yeah, you're right. We probably won't know how it'll happen until 100 years from now when those future historians are figuring it all out.
Yeah. But it makes it such an exciting time to live in, because we're the people who are going to have to use this stuff to come up with the ideas, to utilize the new potential. So, not to toot our own horn too much, but
Well, yeah, there has to be an active element to it. It has to get out of just the virtual sphere and really manifest. I mean, we're talking about meeting physically potentially in the future, which is what it needs to be. That kind of brotherly and sisterly love that can actually, maybe it starts on the net, but it has to be on the grass. Gotta like play on the grass and run on the beaches and stuff with each other too.
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to run on the beaches with you guys.
Yes.
I think you're right, though, that this recognizing that matter is expression of spirit, and the new forms are constantly changing and evolving and playing. And that if we start taking particular forms too seriously, be they our own form or the sort of that we live around, then we run into. Well, I think what the challenge is to bring the spiritual and the material and to recognize that matter is our opportunity to artistically express ourselves.
Right.
And that's all it is.
Yeah, that's a very eloquent,
it is a
conduit putting it.
Conduit for the imagination. It's a reality is Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, we should also when we're talking about like ecosystems and or other organisms and stuff. I'm kind of uncomfortable with the idea of modifying things because matter is just our Play-Doh. So we also have an ethical relationship to matter.
Oh yeah.
Where it's not just raw material. We're dealing with other pieces of our other spirit that we're coming into relationship to when we're artisticizing ourselves with it. So
yeah,
there's an ethics to art,
I guess,
is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I think that's where the idea of a sacred relationship and what that represents and manifests is, in one sense, it is playful, but there's a deadly seriousness too, insofar as the ethics and morality that are involved, and in the respect to not hurt others' parts, first and foremost, and to see others as manifestations of temporal manifestations of spirit, not just to think about it or to talk about it, actually bringing that into embodied experience day to day is that's where seriousness comes in. Seriousness and ethics and morality there.
Compassion,
certainly.
Empathy.
Yeah, compassion. Really.
What did Shinzen Young has a good way to say it. I mean, he always says the catchphrase, "May happiness be." You know, like you want a great, super happiness for yourself, but equally you want others to find that too, and you want to be in the world to be able to, not as a teacher, but just to help others enjoy their lives a little bit more and find that supreme bliss, that supreme happiness that is, you know, the essence of life, to help others realize that in any way you can. So it's sort of like the bodhisattva, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I think in that sort of dialectic that happens in Buddhism, where the arhat who sort of dissolve off into nirvana becomes the bodhisattva who returns to help enlighten all sentient beings. I think what's happening there is it's not like originally the Buddha would say there's no self. Bodhisattva realizes, oh, there is a self, it's the other, you know. So it sort of transmutes that doctrine in a way that draws you back into reality, to work in the body with others, because that's where you find the true spiritual completion, rather than just becoming a monk and meditating all day.
Yeah.
To attain a state of enlightenment for yourself.
Certainly, that active element in this context, and the activism that hopefully this connection can manifest, is going to be a really important one. Yeah, what else?
It's manifested, and will continue manifesting.